Alright, according to this thing, I am live. I am as live as I can be. Audio looks like it's good. Video looks like it's good. Hello, everybody. Hopefully you can see and hear me. Hello, Peter Ang. And Glenn. And DeBlue, Penn. And Jake. And Zathras. And David. Hello, everyone who showed up early. Nice to see everyone. And hopefully you can see and hear me. Hello, MCDJ ACDC and Jake. Hello, G.I. Joe Espanol. Thank you. Yes, I'm plugging the damn show. What's on Joe Mind is trying to get 500 subscribers on YouTube, so I thought I'd plug the show for them. Hello, Cobra Island and Rebel Dad and Matt Edwards and Steven and Big Town Machine Shop. Hello, Yojo Banjo. Sparkster. Hello, Sparkster. I didn't want to miss you there. Hello, James. And other Matt. Doug Dello, nice to see you. Hello, Gaz and Viper. And Lazarus 30,001. Lazarus, how do you do? Hello, Max Blue. Hi, everybody. We made it. I'm trying to do these live streams on the regular again. I'm trying to get back to them. I was away. I had to get away from them for a little while. I just didn't have the time or the energy to do them. Oh, thank you, Jake. That's awesome. Good timing. Good timing. Hello, Leah. How do you do? And Homer Simpson. Homer Simpson is in the house. We have a celebrity. Hello, Martin. And Kyoji. Hello, everyone. Glad to see you all. So, I'm trying to get back into the routine here. I'm working on a video. Like the first full review of the year is over there, and I'm working on it. I guess we have a little bit of G.I. Joe news. It's not really news anymore. I guess we have developments, I suppose, on the G.I. Joe classified Target exclusive front. Everybody's trying to get a Viper, and it seems like nobody can. Yes, Andre, you made it. Congratulations. Leah is full of carnitas. So yes, hello, Gory. Yes, Happy New Year to everybody that I missed on the New Year show. I hope if you didn't make it to that show, I hope you had a good New Year, and I hope you were able to spend it in a pleasant way. I know in the middle of a plague that isn't easy, but hopefully, you were able to enjoy it in some way. Since I didn't have anything going on, I thought it would be fun to spend it with you guys, and quite a few of you guys showed up for the New Year's show, so thank you very much for that. Oh, I'm sorry, Cobra Island. Cobra Island tested positive for COVID-19 yesterday. Well, good luck to you, yeah, you will have... I'll have you in my thoughts, and I hope you recover quickly and easily. That's a tough one. That's what we're all trying to avoid. I had another COVID scare last week, but I turned out to be negative again. But you just can't be too careful. We're scary times, man. We're in scary times. But we do our best. We do our best to soldier through and to hang in there together. Window shopping for Vipers. Yes, well, that's all you can do because it seems very difficult to find any Vipers. I'll give everybody a minute to get in and make sure I try to say hi to everybody. And hello, Eric, in case I missed saying hello to you. Cobra Island. I hope you're feeling all right, and hopefully it's one of those mild cases. We all want to keep you around. Cobra Island. A segue to the Cobra Island Target exclusive G.I. Joe classified figures. They released a Viper that everybody's wanting to get their hands on. Hola, Custom Comic Shop. How do you do? Glad you made it here. Axel Foley is also in the house. Another celebrity. We've got celebrities in the house. Homer Simpson is here too, and we also have Axel Foley. Excellent. Excellent. Good. Not showing symptoms. That's good, Cobra Island. I hope it's a smooth sailing. We'll see you on the other side of it, and hopefully everything will be all right. Good. That's good, Cobra Island. Hey, it's Painted Plastic. How do you do? Nice to see you, Painted Plastic. We were just starting to talk about the G.I. Joe classified Target exclusives. Particularly, we're talking about the Viper. Not the car, but the action figure. The one that everybody's trying to get their hands on, and yet nobody can seem to find. Missed the Cobra Trooper, now missed the Viper. I'm sorry, Steven, you're not the only one. Marge is annoying, so, well, welcome, Homer Simpson. We're happy to have you here. A couple of people may want your autograph, but, hopefully you can endure the fan base. I know it's a burden to be famous. I understand. Not that I'm Homer Simpson famous, mind you. But like I got 69 people in here, 69 people in here. So I'm 69 people on a live stream famous. So, I feel like that's close. That's close to being like Homer Simpson. Yeah, Sparkster, I remember the Viper TV show. I only saw a little bit of it, although I do have, somebody sent me the box set of the show, but I haven't cracked it open and watched it yet. But back in the day when it was on, I watched a little bit of the show Viper that was based on the car. Thank you, Mark Ryan. Happy New Year to you as well. Donuts. Yeah, so I guess I have a confession to make. The confession doesn't have anything to do with me getting the Cobra Viper from Target. In fact, it's the opposite. When they did the first round of Target exclusives, I was able to get all of them. It was difficult, but I got the Troopers, I got Beachhead and whatever. Oh, I got the Baroness and Roadblock. I think that was it. Yeah. So I got all of them. I was all in on the Target exclusives when they with the first round of them. But I have to admit that I really did not enjoy collecting that way. I did not get a lot of enjoyment from running from one Target to another only to find empty pegs everywhere I went. And then trying again and watching for restocks and all of that. That was not fun. Hello, Michael Bassett. I'm well. I hope you're well too. Hello, Action Figure Expert. How do you do? Yeah. So I have to admit, it kind of killed my enthusiasm for the classified exclusives. And I like the figures. Like I said, I got all of the Target classified last time. And I have everything in the line except for the Red Ninja. I never got the Red Ninja. But that manner of collecting just sapped all my enthusiasm. And I've got no excitement at all for this new round of exclusives. And I'm not doing it this time. Other people who want them can have them. I will not be. I will not be competing for the Target exclusives. The wetware says treasure hunting used to be fun. It used to be, but I tell you, like, you got to be able to find stuff. I mean, the supply was so limited. You know, even if you were successful at getting them, you felt like you were taking something away from another collector, because most of the stores that I went to got one set, and that's it. It was difficult. It was not fun. And this time around, I am not going after the Viper or whatever, Firefly or whatever else is exclusive to Target now. You guys can have them, and good luck. Hey, JK Siege, nice to see you. A Happy New Year to you as well. And Orion Films, nice to see you. I don't think I said hello. Owen Beach 76, how do you do? And Loston Wallace, a few people have come in that I haven't said hello to. Hello, the Wetware, and Lobo 2. Speaking of the figures, I've been getting the retro line at the local small mom and pop. I guess that's what you mean. The retro line. I mean, my only interest in the retro line so far has been the vehicles. I actually have a his tank over there from the retro line, and the his tank looks pretty good. I do like a his tank. You know, it's hard to argue with the his tank. Yes, I think I understood what you meant, Cobra Island. But this is a Shockwave says, could I invite you to a G.I. Joe Discord server that I have? Sure. I can't promise that I can participate a lot, because I'm having a hard time keeping up with my own stuff, but sure, why not? It sounds fine. Hello, Cobra Commander 54. Nice to see you. And Scones. So, I mean, on the one hand, I think it's really good that there is a lot of enthusiasm out there for a new G.I. Joe product, especially after the drought that we had here. Shockwave, I can't click on that right now, so you may have to email that to me or something, but I'll get to that after the show. But thank you for sharing. Hello, Chad. Nice to see you. Yeah, the retro card art is good because it's actual retro artwork. The retro series itself, I mean, the figures themselves are not really retro. They're modern era figures. The vehicles, though, now I haven't gotten the All Striker yet. If I wouldn't feel bad if I got my hands on one. But I did get a his tank. Plus, I got a his tank for Timmer's charity drive, so I gave away a his tank to the winner of the drawing for Timmer's charity thing this year. But I mean, the his tank it's a his tank. I can't argue with that. I love me some his tanks. There are some molding differences from the vintage one, but it's close enough. It's different enough that you're not going to mistake it for a vintage his tank, but it's close enough that you can display it alongside your vintage his tanks, and it looks pretty good. It's not bad, but yeah, I mean, I like the fact that people are getting into the new G.I. Joe product. And I was getting into the new G.I. Joe product as well. In fact, now that I mention it, I mean, I've got Snake Eyes right here, and I like the way Snake Eyes looks. This is just the regular retail release Snake Eyes, but I dig it. But yeah, that's mostly futile. Um, uh, Chasing down these exclusives, it made it a lot less fun. And I'm glad that not everybody feels the way that I do. This is just my personal feeling about it. Yes, Timmer did a video on the 1997, almost said 1979. The 1997 figures. So, yeah, today is Tuesday, and Tuesday is Timmer Day. That means on Half the Battle, Timmer has a new video. So make sure you check out Timmer's video. This time he covered an era of G.I. Joe figures that are often forgotten. That is often forgotten. The figures around the O-ring figures that came right after the end of the vintage line. So, 97, 98 and those. So make sure you check out Timmer's video. I am a patron of his on Patreon, so I always get early access. So by the time Tuesday rolls around, I've already seen the video. I get my special access. But anyway, yeah, I'm sorry. I missed some of your live chat. Sorry about that. Once I get started talking, my eyes shut off and I'm not reading, so I apologize. Toy Gigante channel. Hello, John Ramey. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. Nyquist, nice to see you. Christopher Moody. And the Killer Weezer, I don't think I said hello to you. Hello, Mike Wilson. The foot pegs on the modern, his tank, I believe they are for the modern figures. But it comes with a modern era figure. And this is, alright, that's the big complaint that people have about the retro line not being truly retro. Yes, John, Timmer's a little ahead of the curve on wearing the mask. He was doing it before it was cool. So yeah, the retro thing, if they were true retro figures, meaning they were vintage style figures, O-ring figures, then I'd probably have a lot more enthusiasm for them. But I'm not a modern figure collector. I just, that's not my thing. It doesn't mean that it has to be, other people shouldn't get them. A lot of people like the modern figures, and that's great. It's just not my era. And then they come out with this retro line, and it's not retro. It's modern design, modern era figures, and that's not retro. Now the vehicles, like I said, are a bit better. But the figures themselves are like 25th anniversary style bodies, just straight modern. A lot of them reissues of modern figures, sometimes with a little different head or something like that. But version 1 mold figures for retro would have been nice. That's what I'm saying. Now we are all Timmer, yes. In fact, he should take credit for starting the trend, although the trend is caused by the plague, so he may not want to take credit for that after all. Nix that idea. Never mind. So if you're into modern era figures, you may really like the retro stuff, the retro line, but it's not my thing. What I think that means, though, is I don't think we're going to see O-ring figures ever again. I think if they were going to do O-ring figures, they would have done it in the retro line. What that most likely means is they don't have the molds anymore. Or the O-ring construction is just not cost effective. And I hate to say that because I know a lot of people have been clamoring for new O-ring style figures, but I'm interpreting this move by Hasbro with the Walmart exclusives to mean that they're just not going to do them. Now would have been the time, but now wasn't the time. So yeah, we are Timmer's minions. Well, that I wouldn't mind so much. I do. Yeah, the Black Major figures are not mass produced, and that's no, that I think there's some misinformation about the Black Major and O-ring molds. That is almost certainly not correct. But also, those figures are not mass produced, and when you start talking about producing not a few hundred or even a few thousand, but hundreds of thousands of figures, that's where the costs can get prohibitive. So I don't think they're going to do it. And I hate to say that because so many people want the O-ring style figures. I just don't think they are. You can't use rubber molds for mass producing. They won't hold up. But yeah. And the plastic is, you got it. Anyway, but yeah, Jake is correct. Jake E is correct. They did actual retro figures for Star Wars, for Ghostbusters. Those are out on the shelves right now. For Transformers, in fact, I picked up a blaster just because I never had one. Somebody said LOL Leah, and I've missed what she said that was funny. Sorry. LOL Leah. I'm sure it was really funny, but I missed it. Anyway, I don't want to harp too much on it. My main point is, I'm giving the classified line a rest for now. I have been refocused back on vintage collecting. That's a lot more fun for me. I enjoy it a lot more. I've got some stuff coming in. I've made some vintage purchases, but I'm not sure I can even show you this stuff once it comes in, but because all of it is for reviews that are coming up soon, and I don't want to spoil the surprise. I don't want to spoil it for you, but I've got some actual vintage G.I. Joe stuff on the way here if U.S. Postal Service can ever deliver it. Yeah. Andrew says, the first wave Star Wars retro fun but poorly done. Stormtrooper can't hold his blaster. That is another thing that I've heard about that. And on the one hand, that's, they ought to be able to do a bit better. On the other hand, there's not going to be any mistaking the retro figure for a vintage figure. Most of them will, you at a glance, you should be able to tell that this is not a true vintage figure. And if you're a vintage collector, yeah. Oh, Nyquist asked for any Defiant news. Well, somebody sent me some new wheels, so I got some new wheels. Yeah, Defiant is still a work in progress. It's awfully difficult to get certain parts, but it's I'd say it's about 95% there. But the 5% that still has to go is like the most difficult 5%. You know what I'm talking about? So I'm working on it, but I have it out. I have it on display. It's not in here. It's in my living room. But I have it on a roller, so I don't have to put it on its own wheels. I'm sure you know, but the Defiant is too heavy and it will break its own wheels. So I have it on a roller. So I can move it around. And, at a glance, it looks really good. It looks mostly done. It's really just some odds and ends that I have to get to complete it. I will add that I do have both figures. I have original accessories for both figures. I have file cards for both figures. So for hardtop and payload, they are ready to go, man. They are ready to go. I just have to find the extra bits to finish the actual Defiant. Working on it. Yojo Banjo says, don't the modern figures measure four instead of 3¾ inches? Yes, at least average. They average closer to 4-inch. They're in a larger scale, which is why when Hasbro announced that they were coming out with a retro 3¾ inch line, everybody assumed that meant actual O-ring style figures, because those are 3¾ inches. Oh, Victor says Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well, and I'm glad you liked Buzzer and Blastoff. Thank you for joining. So yeah, that's people were expecting O-ring figures, not just because line was going to be called retro, but also because they said it was going to be 3¾ inch figures. But they're not 3¾ inch figures. They are 4-inch modern figures. If they had just said that from the beginning, at least people could have set their expectations, right? And I think people would have, some people would have understood. But if you say 3¾ inch figures, that's what people think they're going to get. So, yeah. That's my point, Michael. I'm not sure that it would be viable for mass production, and that's if they still have the molds, which I'm not sure that they do. Thank you, Joshua Montez. Thank you very much. Thumbs up to you as well. Hasbro Book of Lies. I don't know. I mean, they have some young people running the show over there on the G.I. Joe brand right now. And part of me thinks is that some things I think they've done really well. But on the other hand, some things I wonder if they even know. I don't know. I wonder if they even have like the background and information to know what certain things mean. I don't know. They're young cats. 69. I don't have story time tonight because I didn't get a book and they're not in here. Sorry. So no story time. You're just gonna have to endure me complaining about Hasbro and talking to you guys in the super chat and missing most of the super chat. You guys are typing really fast. I can't read that fast. David says I can borrow his Defiant. Awesome. Let's fly to the moon. I'm so close. Hey, if there's anybody out there who owns a Defiant complete and a Crusader complete, I need the answer to a question, and so far nobody's been able to answer this question yet. Is the umbilical exactly the same for the Defiant and the Crusader? Are there any differences at all, even minor differences, or are they actually the same? because I have an umbilical for the Crusader. If they are identical, I'm not going to go out and spend over $100 for another umbilical for the Defiant, if they are in fact the same. If there are any differences, though, even minor differences, then I've got to track down the other one. So, yeah, so if anybody has an answer, Michael Bassett says, yes, it is. If you're referring to the answering my question, that would be very useful information. Rebel Dad says, what are your thoughts on knockoff figures like what they do for Star Wars figures? Are you referring to like reproduction figures? I'm not a fan of reproduction figures for several reasons, but it depends. It really just depends on what it is, and if it's going to be so close to if it's going to be so close to the actual vintage figures that people will be mistaken on what they're purchasing. Michael says the umbilical is just standard gauge wire with factory markings removed. Yeah, I can definitely tell that from the one that I have, and it's very tempting to just go and get a wire and remove the factory markings, but I can't do that. Because I'm gonna be putting this on TV in HD, and if somebody spots, I mean, I can't. I have to show the genuine item, even if it's something that is cheap and that you can go and buy in a store. It is pathological. Take note, in some early Defiant releases, there were caps for the end of the umbilical that plugs into the space station. I was wondering about that. I will have to see if I can track those down then. Because I was wondering, I was curious if there was anything at the ends that would help the fit at the plug end where it goes into the ship. Thank you, Michael Bassett. That was useful information. I appreciate it very much. But anyway, yeah. So, and I don't even consider necessarily myself to be a purist, Victor. I'm just trying to show you the real thing. I mean, as a reviewer, as somebody whose job it is to review these things, I have to be reviewing the actual thing, not just something that looks like it. It sure would be cheaper to get something that's not authentic, but that's just not what I do. I mean, I'm going to be showing this stuff on your actual TV. And it's going to be big and zoomed in and close up. And people may make their choices about whether to buy something based on what they see in my video. So I've got to show them the real thing, because I don't want somebody to see what's in my video and make a mistake and think that something is real when it's not. You understand? It's part of it is about protecting the audience, protecting the viewer, to make sure that what you're seeing, if you go out there and you decide you want to buy the thing that you're seeing, the thing that you buy will be what you expect it to be, and not a reproduction. And even though reproductions sometimes look very, very, very close to the original, there are still minor differences. And when it's zoomed up on a great big screen like that, those minor differences become this big. So yeah, Yes, MCDJ ACDC, $100 for a vintage Defiant cord. It is crazy. It is crazy. Hello, Christopher Moody. Anyway, so yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of where I am with that. It's just part of what I do. But the fact that it is $100 or more for a vintage Defiant umbilical, that's why I was asking if it is exactly the same as the one that came with the Crusader, because I have one with the Crusader, and I'm highly confident that that is in fact vintage. So if I can get one and it's a twofer and it works for both, I'm okay with that. I can live with that. Hello, Mega Mad. How do you do? Nice to see you. Yeah. So what are we talking about? We talked about Target exclusive classified figures. We've talked about Target exclusive classified figures. We've talked about the retro line. We've talked about some of Hasbro's shenanigans. We've talked about the Defiant. What else does anybody want to talk about? I'm working on a video. I'm working on a review, like an actual legitimate full review. It's behind me, although, well, can't really see it, but it's behind me. And as soon as I'm done with this live stream, I have to go back and work on it some more. Let's see. Michael says, easy way to tell if it's vintage or original is that at the ends, if you can see the insulation and it's yellowed and dry looking, it's paper insulation. And that's one of the reasons why I thought this looked authentic, because it looked old. This is not, the cord that I have is not something that somebody just popped down to the hardware store to pick up. I mean, it's old. Hello, Tim Bentley. Nice to see you, Tim Bentley. Thanks for joining us. What else can we talk about? I'm out of the swing of doing these live streams. It's been a little while since I've oh yeah, Christopher, we talked about that a little bit. I'm not hunting for the Viper. I wish the best of luck to the people who are, and I hope you can find them. What I was saying was, I really didn't enjoy my last experience tracking down the Target exclusives, even though that was overall successful. I was able to get all of the previous run of Target exclusives. It was tedious and difficult and not fun at all. And it kind of killed my enthusiasm for those exclusives. So I'm passing on that. I'm passing on it, and best of luck to everyone who wants to go out there and go to all of the Targets and find empty pegs everywhere you go. Chad sends a super chat. Thank you, Chad. Here's $9.99 to go towards the umbilical cord dilemma. Cobra la 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 la. Thank you, Chad. Now I can do it. I appreciate that. That was very funny. That's good. I like that a lot. Yes, sub teams this year. We can talk about that. Painted Plastic points out in the buzzer quick shot. I announced that our theme for 2021 is sub-teams. So you got your G.I. Joe and you got your Cobra, and then inside of G.I. Joe, you have smaller teams that are also G.I. Joe. And inside of your Cobra, you have smaller teams that are also your Cobra. So, sub-teams. Now, of course, that will involve some 90s stuff, right? Because there are lots of sub-teams in the 90s. But, we're going to spend a lot of time in the 80s. A lot of time. We're talking Dreadnoks, we're talking Tiger Force, we're talking Python Patrol, we're talking Night Force. Lots of time in the 80s, lots of things to look at. And keep in mind that just because that's the theme for the year, it doesn't mean every video is going to fit that theme, but the majority of them should fit that theme. And it has been a while since we've done Tiger Force. I know what we're doing next for Tiger Force. I already got it in my noggin, in my plans, in my head. We're going to look at the 80s sub-team Megaforce. Yes, the cool dune buggies, dirt bikes with rockets. The Megaforce movie, now you're going to get me off on a tangent, because the Megaforce movie is hilarious and awesome in the best ways. Hello, JLS Comics. Thank you for joining. Battle Force 2000. Now, I have reviewed Battle Force 2000. However, I have not reviewed DJ or the Pulverizer, both Battle Force 2000, and so I may get to those this year. So there's still some Battle Force 2000 that, that I can get around to. So sub-teams. Are there Dom teams? Yes, there are Dom teams. I tend to think of Night Force as a Dom team. The Dreadnoks, probably, yeah. Weisenheimer. Doug says, looks like the umbilicals are the same with a variant on the European version. I sent you an email of the Hiss tank there. Oh, thank you, Doug. That's much appreciated. Anyway, yeah. Deep Six was the original sub-team. Correct, Andrew. Good point. Good point. Sonic Fighters. So yeah, we will delve into the 90s. Not as much as last year. But we will delve into the 90s, and we'll probably look at Sonic Fighters and or Super Sonic Fighters or Eco Warriors. So we'll look at some in the 90s. But we're going to spend a lot of time in the 80s. Last year, 2020 being the year of the 90s, was pretty rough. That was rough on me. So I need to get back to doing some of the stuff from my era. I'm not doing Street Fighter 2. Street Fighter 2, I covered that. Actually, I brought in Dragon Fortress to cover Street Fighter 2, and that's it that I'm doing with the Street Fighter 2. The 90s were so colorful. That's correct. And there was some color in the 80s too, but it was not quite as prominent. Keep in mind, the 80s had Blowtorch and Sci-Fi, both of which were just the brightest of bright colors. But still, on balance, there was more of that in the 90s than in the 80s. And I'm not hating on the 90s, folks. I just spent the whole year looking at the 90s. And there's some really good stuff in the 90s, really good stuff. But my preference is still the 80s, the stuff that came out of the 80s. Not just because aesthetically I like it better, but also because that's the stuff that I remember. So, but we're getting back to the 80s, back to the future, back to the year 1985 and other years of the 80s. So yeah, that is the theme, and I hope everybody enjoys it. My main thing is I want to get back to doing reviews, like full reviews, at least semi-regularly. And that has been a struggle. I do work a lot. And even when I'm not working, I don't necessarily have the energy to do videos because I'm tired. But I'm really, really trying. I reviewed Special Mission Brazil. In fact, funny thing, I went back and watched that review yesterday. But I have a review of Special Mission Brazil. I really like Special Mission Brazil. I think it's crazy and kooky, and the colors are nuts. Some of the colors are not bad at all. Like the Special Mission Brazil Leatherneck is a nice figure. Do you think the Hiss tank can go 88 miles per hour? We're gonna find out. Thank you, Lazarus. The 90s are a great generation, but just not for G.I. Joe. And I know, I know not everybody agrees with that, and there are a lot of fans of the 90s, and that's fine, that's cool and everything. But for my own well-being, I've got to get back and do some more 80s stuff. I really just need to. So we're doing that. That's what we're doing. We're doing lots of sub-teams, and we're doing lots of 80s in the year 2021. There you go. And Malcolm asks what I think of Black Major figures. I don't have a lot of them, so I have some. I can't really pass a lot of judgment on figures that I don't have. But I will say that the plastic seems to be of a lower quality than the vintage era mass-produced figures. So I don't know. I think that's all I can really say about that. I can't really comment on. I don't really buy them. So yeah. Robert says, have you managed to get the Toxo Lab yet? Not yet. That is something I was looking at, though. That was on my radar. It was on my radar. Maybe that'll come up on the radar again soon, because I'd like to nail that one down. That is a gap in the collection, and I'd like to nail that one down. So I will think about the Toxo Lab in the near future. Maybe that's a next month thing. Yeah, so you guys are typing fast, and I'm trying to read and keep up. See you later, Painted Plastic. Thank you for stopping by. Hope to see you again in the near future. Always happy when you're able to stop in. Review Jared from Sub Team. Yeah. I'll have to see if I can do a jailhouse interview with Jared. Wow. Lazarus, Black Major does reproduction and custom figures, and he does take his name from the Black Major from Action Force. Now, I have the Black Major figure from Action Force, if that's what you're referring to, but I don't think that's what you were referring to. I think you were talking about the guy that makes the figures. 129 people watching. I wish I had made myself more presentable. I didn't know there would be that many people in. John, the Toxo Lab is a playset from Eco Warriors. It was under the Eco Warriors banner, I am pretty sure. It's fairly hard to find. I have run across them a few times, but the prices were not what I wanted to pay. Chad sends a super chat. Will there be a Wolverine sub-team review? Wolverines! funny you mentioned that. As a kid, when we started, thank you for a super chat, Chad, and thank you for a super chat, Michael. Thank you very much. When we were kids, when we started, expensive playset. When we started customizing figures and making our own characters, we created our own team called the Wolverines, based on the movie Red Dawn. If I just wish I had any of that stuff. A couple of years ago, I opened up the toolbox that has the last of my vintage collection. And all that was in it was just a bunch of parts. I can't find the comic books we made. I can't find the actual complete figures that we made. And we did this whole thing. We would make our own comic books based on our own characters. Oh, a Small Town Machine Shop sends a super chat. Hey, you are Big Town Machine Shop. Thank you very much, Big Town Machine Shop. Very much appreciated. Sure, that counts as a sub team. And if I could actually find the figures that we made, I would show them. I would love to do an episode on our custom figures that we made when we were kids, but I don't have any. The last of my childhood collection is just parts, just figure parts. That's it. A few accessories. And I don't know what happened to everything else. My parents moved a couple of times, and I have to assume that stuff got left behind in the move or thrown out or whatever. But is Cobra Kai going to be a sub team? It could happen. It could happen. I'm not sure I can. If I can do Cobra Kai justice, because fear does exist in this dojo. You know, I have to admit, in this dojo, there is fear, so I don't think I qualify. Time happened. But I'm glad at least that I have the toolbox. I'm glad at least that I have the figure parts. That's at least something. That's at least something from my childhood collection. A quick kick is Daniel-san. And in the tournament, Daniel did not wear shoes. So there you go. Joe Fan. Hello, Joe Fan 82. Hi, I didn't see you sneak in here, you sneaky sneak. Joe Fan did a stream on Christmas Day with what he got, so I'm sure that's on a replay. So after you're done here, go check out Joe Fan 82's live stream from Christmas Day and check out his loot. The Hard Master Miyagi. Although Mr. Miyagi looks a little bit more like the Soft Master, if you know what I mean. Ow, you know what? If they had made a G.I. Joe movie from the 80s, or a Snake Eyes movie like what they're talking about doing now, Pat Morita would have made a pretty good Soft Master. Think about it. You just imagine him in that role. He would have done really good with that role. I don't know if he wanted to take that role. He might have felt like he was being typecast. But I'm just saying, looks a little bit like the Soft Master. Yeah. It's Houston Yukami. Oh wow. Joe Custom Challenge. That would be an interesting idea, Rebel, especially considering most of the stuff that I got in the last unboxing from the stuff from the P.O. box was customs. People sent a lot of customs. And it would be interesting to see what people can do. I don't know if I will get around to that, but I will consider that idea. Mainly right now, I just want, yeah. See, he's a little bit on the round side. This is what I'm saying. The main thing I'm focused on, I'm really trying to get back to doing regular reviews. Now, I may not be able to get to one every week like I did before. Lee Van Cleef. See, Gory's got a good idea. I want to get back to doing regular reviews. Even if I can't do them every week, I want to get back to getting content out regularly, because I really do enjoy doing it. I enjoy looking at the toys. I enjoy talking about the toys. Editing the videos has become a little tedious, but still, it's worth it in order to get the video done. Mr. Miyagi versus Roadblock. Cook. Kelly LeBrock as Lady J. Now that would be something. Yeah, an 80s fan cast of a G.I. Joe movie. That would be truly intriguing. And it's got to be stars from the 80s, right? No modern era stars. This is what the cast could have been if they had made an 80s G.I. Joe movie. On one hand, I'm kind of glad they didn't, because if they had tried to make a G.I. Joe movie in the 80s, I think it would have looked a lot like Megaforce. And I do love Megaforce, but Megaforce is also kind of ridiculous. And I don't want G.I. Joe to be ridiculous. Joe Fan says editing videos feel the same, but with the filming. Maybe you can film mine and I can edit yours. There we go. That is the perfect team up. You edit, I film. We'll just swap. It's perfect. I don't look anything like you though, so I mean, I'll have to practice doing an impression of your voice or something like that. Yeah, editing is a bear. We've got some folks here who have YouTube channels and do their own videos, and so you kind of understand where I'm coming from. Now, in the past, I've thought editing was my favorite part. I used to love editing because it was where I actually stitched everything together and made the final product. I felt like the editing was the most important part. But you do that for a few years, and it kind of wears on you. Yeah. What about Masters of the Universe? Are you talking about the Masters of the Universe movie, like the He-Man movie from the 80s? That was something else. Katie Seagal as the Baroness. Sean Connery as Sean Connery as Destro. At that time would have been great. He would have killed it. That would have been a good Destro. Yeah, I'm on board with that. Well, hey, guys, looks like we have about 3 minutes left to go, and I am going to stop the live stream at 8 o'clock my time, because I need to get back, and I need to do at least a little bit of video shooting tonight. It's a big, long video, so the more I can get done in an evening, the easier it'll be for me later on. So I am going to wrap it up here in about 2 minutes, and I will let you guys go. Thank you guys for showing up. This has been a lot of fun. I really missed doing the live streams, and I didn't bring a lot of topics to talk about this time. We just sort of went with the flow, but you guys are great. Leah Thompson as Scarlet. That one I would go for. I'm Leah Thompson as Scarlet, absolutely. Yeah, so Chuck Norris says every vehicle. All right, that's fun. That's fun. But thank you guys for just showing up and hanging out and just listening to me ramble. It's really appreciated. It's nice to see a lot of familiar faces in here. It's nice to see people that I used to be able to talk to more frequently. At least I get to see you, every once in a while now. And I will try to keep up with the live streams as much as I can. But right now, my main priority, top priority, is getting back to doing the reviews. That's what I'm working on. So, anyway, with that, I think it's time to wrap up. I will try to do this again next week. Good luck to Cobra Island, who had a positive COVID test. So, good luck to you. We'll all be thinking about you, and stay well and recover quickly. But thanks, everyone. I'm going to sign out now, and hopefully I'll see you all next week. So for now, good night, and remember, only G.I. Joe is G.I. Joe.